Hello, folks.
Hi there.
So it's another episode of Würfelcast. It's episode 27, and as usual, we have some cool topics coming up here, and we're gonna finish it up with top 10 unique fantasy games, which is like a continuation from the previous list.
Yeah.
Unique games. Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, I see. So you just copied the list of 10 games?
No, I was good. I think I didn't put anything on there. I tried to keep things off this list that I put on every other list.
Oh, you mean you put 10 Summer Wars factions on there as separate packs?
I could have done that. Many of them have separate entries on Board Game Geek.
Yeah, I kind of, I can see, I think I can predict quite a few games that you put on the list.
You
At least
probably
half
can
of them.
predict. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. I bet you could probably guess 2. I think I went through the list and I sieved out all the ones I usually put on. So, but we'll see.
Oh, all right. Wait. I think there's one game that I put on the list which was on the previous list. Whoops.
And you were just making fun of me for that?
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I just realized there's one game. Let it be.
We can talk about it when we get there, unless you want to start there. But let's not.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about some recent plays.
Okay.
And for that, I'm gonna. Oh, wait. Where is it? Just give me a moment. I'll be there. For that, we're gonna share the screen, and we're gonna get to BoardGameGeek.com. And we're gonna talk about some recent play we played. There's nothing I played like recently. It's been a while. It's getting worse in Estonia. Some restrictions and things, so we are getting isolated more. But I can talk about a few games that I played before it got worse. So we're gonna talk about some better times.
Okay.
So I think if I already started, let me just go through my few picks. So first of all, what I want to talk about is a not so well-known game called Wingspan.
Oh, I may have heard of it.
You may have heard of it, like Wingspan with V, not W. No, Wingspan. Yes. No. The thing is about the Wingspan, why I wanted to talk about that, and you've seen this game, it's everywhere, it's popular,
I may have played it.
Yeah. But the thing about Wingspan is it's been only one time before when I tried it on a person who is not a gamer at all, and she got this game pretty well, but it was like weird, it was wacky. And now that was another
Weird,
time.
wacky wingspan.
We're wacky Wingspan. Oh, that's 3 W's. Okay. But there's one more person who I taught it to. One of the evenings, so we were like, he said, like, you can come over and bring a board game. We're gonna play something. Try to play something. I'm like, okay. He's the person who usually plays, some usual card games, like the deck of 51 card game cards, and poker. He can play pool, and he loves Red 7, by the way. But it was also weird to him. So even Red 7 was kind of weird at first. And
Red 7's kind of a weird game.
Yeah. But the Wingspan, Wingspan, it was weird because there are 4 actions. One of those actions, one of the 4, is playing a card. But for him, his state of mind said that playing a card is like, you can play a card and then choose one of the 3 actions, like take food or take eggs and etc. That was one of the hardest things for him to turn on or like make different. But overall, he got the game after the first play, and he's like, "Let's play it again." Now I know what to do. It was weird for that person who never played the engine building game to play that kind of engine building game. But he got it, and then we played the second time. He loved it. He's like, let's play the third time, and it was already like midnight. And I was like, no, I need to get home. But now he's hooked. I have another person who is totally hooked to Wingspan, and it worked. But it was hard for him to get the concept, and I can see that this is not a easy to learn game for non-gamers. But you need to have, like, you need to be a good teacher in this one. That's what I feel. I feel like Wingspan can suffer from a bad teaching.
Well, many
Suffer a lot.
can.
I mean,
Have you tried the newer editions of Wingspan? I don't know what one you have something called the Swift Start variant that is sort of it kind of walks you through 2 turns and then just says go.
oh, I think I have the first version of the Wingspan without the Swift Start. Yeah.
I purchased the Swift Start separately. It was it was like $2 or something. It wasn't very expensive. I have not tried it because the people I play. I mean, I play enough Wingspan that I can probably teach it competently. But I think that might be a helpful way for newer players to get in. At least it's designed that way.
Okay. Yeah. It's not so common that I play such games with like totally non-gamers. So. But yeah, might be the case in this one. And we had the European expansion in because all the cards are mixed together in my deck.
Yeah.
So I was like getting them out. No, never. You just play with everything. But it's not. European expansion is extremely easy. Some
Well,
things.
yeah.
Just play a card. What?
Even the Australian expansion is pretty easy. It has a few new rules, but it's not that much. It's like if I taught you those rules as though they were always the rules, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, but maybe for that non-gamer, it might be a little bit more difficult. But by the way, when we played, we didn't get any of the European birds, the blue banner birds.
Oh, no.
So we're like, okay. So I didn't need to teach him to look for the end of the round scorings and then abilities and things. So yeah. Anyway, that was Wingspan. Let's not talk too much about this one. A great game, by the way. And the other game I want to talk about is a smaller card game, but also wacky. It's weird. I didn't understand the game, but I want to play it more. So that's Fort. You know Fort?
Fort, yeah.
Fort, yes.
Yep.
And Fort is... it's not a deck building game. Yeah, it's not a deck building game. It feels like kind of a 51st State or Imperial Settlers kind of game. So you are trying to collect the cards in your hands and then play them out with... it has maybe a Glory to Rome vibe where you can make your actions stronger, playing multiple cards, and they have multiple things on them. And each card has a public action and a private action. And you can do both actions or either one of them.
No, that's not true. Not each card has one.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No, almost each card, yeah.
I can see a card in that picture that does not.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, like, you get the idea. So the cards have those 2 actions, and some cards are just without the actions at all, but they count as more icons. And you can do the public action, and everybody else can follow that public action you chose, and only you can do the private action on that card. And then some cards that you will not use during your turn, and it's kind of like a deck building where you get 5 cards in your hand and then you discard them and then you reshuffle your deck and you get new cards in your deck eventually. But all the cards, these are like kids, and the kids are playing in your backyard. If you have not used them, they get sad, and then you will put them in front of your board, like as a display of cards, and another person during their turn can grab one of the cards from your yard. So you have to share some of your cards with other players. So that's that. I mean, it is weird, but sometimes people can take away the cards that you really need in your deck, but you couldn't use them this turn. So that's a cool concept.
Yeah.
but the engine building in this one and getting to 25 points to end the game and some of the I don't know how to describe this game. It feels weird. I didn't get
It is an unusual game.
Yeah. So
I
Fort,
like it.
yeah.
I the artwork's a little bit weird, and the characters kind of feel like they were named by whoever wrote Dick Tracy, but
Yeah. But I mean, the abilities are basically you're trying to get the resources, which are like pits and toys, and you're trying to get those resources to upgrade yourself, upgrade your fort, so you can get more points, get some scoring cards, etc., and things, and you are like trying to collect the icons, and icons are basically boosting your main actions. So, and you're trying to get your deck to function in a way that you get better, so you can get out stronger actions and then eventually score more points. So,
and also so that you can use all of the cards every turn, so that you don't lose them.
yes.
It's the sort of where the game feels a little different, but yeah, it is a strange game, but it's a good one.
Yeah, so that's Fort, and I haven't rated it yet because I feel it's weird. I need to play it a few more times to get the grasp of how should I play it or what should I follow. All right.
Okay.
What's your recent plays?
All right. So I'm going to talk about. Well, the first one I'm going to talk about is a game that when I first saw it, I thought I'm not interested in that game at all. And then a friend asked about it, and I started looking at it again, and I eventually broke down and bought it.
Summer
And
Wars.
then- well, well, we can talk about Summoner Wars if you'd like. No, the game is called Obsession.
Okay.
And
Oh my God.
it is a game. The theme, I would say, is kind of upstairs, downstairs, or Downton Abbey, or something like that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
So it's the kind of Victorian England, and you are a house that's a family that's fallen from grace, and you're trying to host events that will boost your reputation and get lots of high quality guests to come to you. The game is really simple. What you'll do is you've got those, you see those tiles over there, the colored tiles? Those are the events you can host. And so each turn you'll select one to host. Each of them requires a certain number of servants, and so you'll send the right servants to host it, and then you'll invite guests, which are the cards from your hand, and they might need other kinds of servants in attendance, and you'll make sure you have those. And then you'll collect the rewards. You'll increase your reputation, you'll get money, various things. It's a very simple concept. What makes it work is if you're going to play it with somebody who's going to read all the flavor text on the cards and kind of ham it up and role play it, because the cards are hilarious. They're these old black and white pictures, but then it says, this person is an American heiress. And when you invite the American heiress, all of the people look down at you, but she brings a lot of money. And or there's one card I remember we were reading it. This gentleman, he's negative reputation because he was the son of an actress and very effeminate, and and all of these. So the game itself, if you're not going to do that, it's an okay game. It's interesting. If you're going to, I immediately imagined having a fancy dress tea party and and playing this game, and it would be so much more fun if you did that. I really liked this game a lot more than I thought I would. The reason that I initially dismissed it, because the theme is something I would enjoy, is you see in the top left corner that board with those cards on it, with the purple and white. Those little tiny cards in the corner are about they're an inch and a half tall. They are the tiniest little cards. And I thought, I just can't deal with those. But in the expansion, it made them into small cards instead of those tiny cards. So I'm back in at that point. But the game is a lot more fun than I thought it had any right to be, and I really actually was very pleasantly surprised by Obsession.
I see. Yeah, this is the one I was like, I should try this game at some point if I get to. But it looks like it was made in a Photoshop and a little bit of paint, You know, it looks so unprofessional that it takes away the feeling that I should play this game.
Yeah, you might actually really like it though. I, I had a lot of the same thoughts, but I'm now firmly on its side.
Because look at these, it's brown tile using the black, like breakfast room. It's using the black font and then the white font on the brown tile with red
It doesn't look as
maple.
It
Oh
doesn't
my
look
god!
as bad in person, but you know those
Okay.
tiles are a large portion of the game, and they are very bland, but they're very functional. There are times when you need to know, you know, I've got 4 purple tiles. It's very easy to tell if you have 4 purple tiles. So I
Okay.
mean, there are some weird design choices, but they all work.
Some.
And nothing gets in the way of gameplay, which is nice.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
It could have been a lot better looking, but
All right. What's the other game you have played?
the other game I've played is not the one that you think I'm going to talk about, because we might talk about that one later. The other game I've played is Beyond the Sun.
Okay, I see.
Beyond the Sun is, I just recently got it, and it is an interesting game about developing technologies. If you took the technology tree aspect out of any of those other space exploration games and zoom just into that, that's what you've got here. Turns are super fast, which I really like. Every turn you'll do 1 action, and you'll get 1 production. And so you place your that little marker on a spot, you do the action. Sometimes that action will be develop a technology. And so there's the level 1 technologies, and then those branch into some level 2 technologies, and those branch into level 3, and then shock of shocks, they branch into level 4. And so you can do that. You can sort of expand your technologies. They give you special abilities, instant bonuses, and the ability to go farther. But if you don't want to do that, there's another board that's kind of off on the side where you're sailing your ships around. And some of those technologies will help that, but you can kind of go off to these planets, which are cards, and get enough ships on there and then pay some resources and do a colonize action. And those cards that you collect, they'll give you usually a one-time bonus, sometimes an ongoing special ability, but will also give you a lot of points. And the 2 times I played it, I focused one time almost exclusively on that board with the ship sailing around and combating, and one time almost exclusively on the technologies. And both times I did quite well. So I think you can do both, or you can do a mix of them, and I think it can work. So it's nicely balanced that way. The game itself does not look great. The player boards are basically big white blobs. I mean, there's just a whole lot of... You can kind of see... It's like if you watch a movie before it's been edited and you can see all the wires and things like that. That's how this game feels. But it really is an interesting game. It's very... the rule book's kind of problematic. It makes the game feel a lot more complicated than it needs to be. It's a very poor way of explaining the rules. But once you get through it, the game itself is very simple. The icons are easy to remember, and it's pretty fast. You know, you're just doing one thing, and then you get your resources, and then it's somebody else's turn. And I don't know, I really liked it. I was impressed. So that's Beyond the Sun.
Yeah, that's the one I'm really looking forward to try at some point. When it gets here, I want to get the copy, I think, because I'm sure I'm gonna like it. I love technology trees. The best part of like civilization type games is the technology tree, because it's building up. You know, you're getting better and better and better. You can spread out. It seems like this is the concentration on that part. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't look so good. In my opinion, I like the pieces. By the way, I like this. Are these like dice or whatever they are?
They are dice. Although one time in the game you had to roll one, but normally what it is when it's on that track, it has a symbol that means that it's like a resource. And then when you pull it off the track, it's going to have on one side it could be a person, which you'll use for some things, and on the other sides it's spaceships with a 1, 2, 3, or 4 value, and you use those to sail around that spaceship board. So it's a die that's more used as a counter than as a die.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's Beyond the Sun. Something to look forward to. All right, so we're past the recent plays, and we're going to go to the next topic, which is what's on Kickstarter. And we're going to jump to the Kickstarter page and look
and
through.
Pull out our scraper to scrape the bottom there.
Not so many Kickstarters this time. But I do have a game I want to talk about that sounds cool. It doesn't look so cool. It reminds me of a game called Endeavor with the graphical choices. But this game is called Città Stato, which is city-state in Italian. And yeah. So the box looks so... I love the look of the box. I mean, the box cover, if you can see from the rough dose here, like the picture, looks really cool. But the game itself, I don't know exactly how it's played, but this is a back-building game where you are... where the different cubes are the different... Like, you can do different actions with different colors of cubes. And you're building your back... and also you're trying to grab the cards that you will burn underneath your mat, and it will give you more things. You know, you kind of try to progress, you try to build up yourself, and there's some blind bidding as well, where you can get some bonus cards. So it's like an engine type of thing to get the more points. And the part of that sounds cool is that the first action you play, you need to use 1 cube of the same color. If you want to play more actions, the second action you play, you need to use 2 cubes of the same color. If you want to play the third action, 3 cubes of the same color. So the more actions you play, the harder it is to play them, the more it costs, which is a cool concept. And another cool concept is that, or like a wacky concept, we have a new word, wacky everywhere.
Wilkinson's Weird World.
I mean, there's where is it? The scoring, and at least what I read about this one, the scoring is like you have you do this 2 scorings based on one another thing, let it be what they are exactly, and those 2 scores that you get, then you have to look at some kind of objective or something like that, and if you get it right, if you get your objective right, you score the higher score. Higher points, and if you don't get it right, you score the lower points. So it sounds weird, but it sounds unique. It's not like just who got the most points in the game. You might get lower count of points instead of the higher count of points that you got from one of the 2 scorings, whatever. So it sounds weird, it sounds wacky, it sounds cool. The board itself, as you can see, is not the most attractive. The cards look like they are from Obsession. But
I was about to make that comment.
Yes, that's like, I don't like the cards. I don't like this. But if you look at the icons,
oh my goodness.
Yes, but it sounds really cool, and it's, let me see, it's 34 euros if you get this usual copy. Oh, it's 34 euros for that game.
Well,
which is not.
It looks like the kind of game that I would talk about and you would make a face. So I'm glad that you brought it up.
I was hooked up by the thing is, I saw the cover of the game first. You know, you see this beauty, and then you look inside. Oh,
I kind of hate the name as well, but
Città Stato.
Well, it feels like it's just in Italian to be in Italian.
Yes, probably.
I mean, that kind of feels a little pretentious. It's like Die Speicherstadt. It's just in German to be in German.
Quacksalber von Gullimburg, yeah, all this stuff.
That kind of thing. It feels, and the graphic design looks like it could use a refresh, but I hope it's great. I'm not sure I'm sold.
Simone Ceruti Sola, the author of Kepler 3042.
I've not played Kepler 3042, although from what I've heard about it, it's the kind of game that I would like and you would not. So.
Yes. But I mean, like, this is Italian designer, and they do tend to do good Euros, it seems. Not.
Well, maybe I'll take a look at it. I do hope that they'll. It looks like the graphic design was done by the same person who did the Golden Ages, but.
Oh, the Golden. Let me see. Do we have the publisher, the designer, and they don't talk about the artist. It's only the designer and the publisher.
Well, the artist of Golden Ages was Alexander Rocha, and he also did such hits as Brussels, whatever, 18 something.
Wait.
And
let me see. Oh, it's Yaroslav Radetzky who made Reavers of Midgard and Rurik, the Dawn of Kiev.
Okay. Oh, that's a different person. Okay. Well, anyway. I hope it's great.
Good. All right. So, what's your choice for the Kickstarter?
Well, I was really scraping the barrel this time, and I picked Nemo's War: Journey's End expansion.
That's the one I was thinking about picking up because that's the one I'm tempted, kind of to back.
I like Nemo's War, but Nemo's War is a solo game.
Yeah.
Nemo's War is a fine solo game. It's a long solo game, and it's a very random solo game. But it's a great adventure. If you wanted to sit down and have an undersea adventure, this game made me read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is basically a catalog of fish. It's a terrible book, but the game itself was very enjoyable. I really liked it. I liked sort of this sailing around, having a story. You have a different aspect of Captain Nemo, and you've got different epilogues, and you're battling ships or doing other various things. No, it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea that's a catalog of fish.
No, I'm just kidding. It's a new expansion coming. Yeah, sorry.
This game is just more for that, and it's another chance to get the game if you didn't get it the first time. So this is Victory Point Games, who traditionally have done very poor quality components, and this is in definitely their deluxe line because the components are okay quality, rather than poor. But I find Nemo's War a very charming game, and I'm always looking forward to more for it.
Yeah, why I was interested in this one, I was interested for a long time because of the theme. Though it being a solo game, it seems to be a unique, different, and really interesting adventure game. And I like adventure games.
Oh, it definitely is.
And I heard you can play it as a cooperative game as well, as like a two-player game.
Yeah, and that works about as well as any other time you try and make something that's be for too many players.
Yeah, but I like Seventh Continent with 2 players, so...
Okay. Well,
I think
you might enjoy it. I mean, look, you can definitely you can always find somebody to play it with, if it's a solo game. And if you want to try it with the cooperative variant, there are rules in the box for that.
Yeah.
But as a solo adventure, it's quite fun.
The Ultimate Edition costs $90, and it has the second edition and 4 expansions, it seems.
This is, I think, when it says expansion, it's a little pack of cards.
Okay, so there's a big expansion and 3 small.
I think this is technically the 4th expansion, but usually those expansions are very small little modules you can throw in.
I see. Yeah. All right, so this is Nemo's War. Definitely something to look at on the Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
One of the few things to look at. And we're going to go back to Board Game Geek here and probably even go away from the screen, screen sharing, and get to the next topic, which is Guess That Game.
All right.
And in Guess That Game, we guess that game. So that's the motto now. That's the introduction to Guess That Game.
Okay.
So we're gonna give hints to each other. Try to guess that game. Okay. Because I have the exclamation point. Sorry.
Oh, all right.
Saying you have to do it. Guess that game.
Okay.
All right. You got it? Oh,
I got
good.
it.
Yeah, good. You want to start?
I will start. Okay. The first game I have for us today is a sci-fi-ish theme.
Oh, it's Spectre Ops.
It is not Spectre Ops. This is a post-apocalyptic world.
Sci-fi post-apocalyptic world. It's Star Trek, whatever, Ascendancy.
This game is all about combat.
It's I know the game, the Portal games with asymmetric power. What is it called? Oh my god! I know the game. Portal games made this game. I don't remember the name. Do you remember the name? Cry Havoc. Okay.
This is not Cry Havoc.
God, fine. God.
In this game, the combat is very procedural.
Oh my god. Maybe it's that Flathead Games one. What it's called? I don't remember the names of the games anymore.
Okay, no, it's not that Plaid Hat Games game.
Okay.
The one word. Moloch is your next clue.
Oh, 51st States or something like no, in 51st States
Moloch
it's the Hiroshima Hex or
that's the one.
Oh, that's the one.
It is that Portal game with the asymmetric powers. It's just not the one that you said.
Yeah. I was thinking about Cry Havoc, and then
That's why I was like, okay, I'll let you keep going on this one because it is a Portal game, a game with lots of asymmetric powers, but it's not Cry Havoc.
Yeah, I see. All right. I'm gonna go with my pick. This game is set in a steampunk world setting.
Is it Gears of Steam?
No. This game is based on a popular video game.
Super Mario Brothers?
Almost, no.
I'm the wrong person for video games.
You know that game. You definitely know the game. In this game, you play two different factions. Warring.
Oh, is it that Plaid Hat game?
What?
What is that? What is that one? The one with the songbird.
Yeah, let me say Columbia.
Yeah, that's the one. Siege of Columbia, and Booker and I can't remember the name of it. But
Booker and Elizabeth.
BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, the heroes of the game are NPC characters. Like the main heroes of the video game are NPC characters, which is like why they should. Oh my god, that was a weird concept they did there. BioShock Infinite. Yeah, but I think that's why it failed as well, because you want to.
The reason it didn't do so well, it did well when the video game came out, but the video game world has an even shorter memory than the board game world. So, as soon as that game was no longer in vogue, I actually played that video game.
Cool.
It's the only video game where I've ever seen press B to be baptized.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I played only one Bioshock, and that was the Infinite, with the Booker and Booker.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I played only that one. It was cool, but it was so weird, and the ending was so weird. I mean, like, I'm not gonna spoil anything. It's just the whole world felt weird.
The ending kind of required you to have played the first game to appreciate it. Um,
Yeah, probably.
anyway,
Your other pick?
my other pick. This is a fantasy game.
Next.
This is a game with lots of combat.
Next.
This is a game with unique factions.
Ashes: Rise of Phoenix. Does it have factions?
No, it does, but it's not that one. This game has lots and lots and lots of dice rolling. And when you're rolling a huge bucket of dice.
It's a fantasy game with a huge bucket of dice. My God, it's Marvel. No, it's not Marvel. I don't know.
This game has way too many expansions.
Is it the Warriors?
No, although fair enough. This game is expensive.
What, this game too many bones, or is it?
No,
has
that's also fair, but no, that's not really a faction game. But yeah, that's not right. This game has huge plastic miniatures.
what? Huge plastic miniatures.
Huge plastic miniatures, big blobs of nondescript plastic.
Is it the Cthulhu? What it's called? I don't know. Cthulhu Wars or whatever it was called.
That's the one, Cthulhu Wars.
Okay, yeah. I've never played that one. But I didn't
But
know
you've
that
seen
it
it.
has. I didn't know that it has so many dice and expansions anyway. But
Oh,
all right.
Every fight you're gonna like throw 15 dice. It's fun, but it's definitely that kind of game.
All right. So my other pick it's a pirate game.
Rum and Bones.
No, it takes place on a ship.
Rum and Bones.
Almost, but no. You use sand timers. I'm sure you played this one. Let me give you.
I'm thinking of all the Sand Timer games I've played. It's not Space and Time.
No. This is a real-time cooperative game. About pirates.
About pirates. I don't know a real-time cooperative game about
It
pirates.
literally has pirates in its name.
Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
The Sand Pirates.
It's a campaign game.
Are you sure I played this one?
It uses the app. Maybe you haven't played this one.
Yeah.
It should be. I think it should be from Cranio Creations. Let me give it away. It's called A Tale of Pirates.
Yeah, that name would have put me off. No, I've not played that one.
I see. All right.
Sounds interesting now, but the name would have been a turnoff for me.
It was interesting. Like you progress through the campaign, and it gets harder and harder as a cooperative game. It's cool. You'll see. I'm gonna talk about this one in soon.
Okay.
In some other way. But so here we have it. That's Guess That Game, and now we're gonna go to the next topic, which is called Under and Over. We're gonna talk about some underrated games and some overrated games. All right, let me share the screen again. I'm sharing my screen with you all. Oops, it's Black Hat Games.
Oh, I see.
I see. All right, so let me then start with my underrated game, this game is the one that I got. I don't usually get games as used copies. I don't buy games from other people. I like to buy them new in shrink so I can open them up, punch them, whatever. It's just part of the fun for me in board gaming world. But this one, I got this one because it sounded interesting, a little bit economic, and I'm talking about Rockwell.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like Rockwell is an underrated game. It's 2706 on the overall rank. It says round board, but in Rockwell, you are mining like to the center of the boards, and you're where is it? Somewhere here. Oh yes, this is the board, and you are sending your kind of workers, whatever the workforce, and those numbers are how difficult it is to mine that. Eventually, if you turn them over, you get some resources, and if you can get the help from other people. So basically, if you mine together, then you have to share those resources, and those resources are different cubes of different values, and then you can go. There are different worker spots. You can sell those cubes, and let me see if I get it somewhere. You can sell those cubes, and you can upgrade your own stuff. You can complete the objectives, and you can change the cubes into the victory points. So it's a progression economic game where sometimes the coolest part about that one is that you are like many people can be on the same spot, and you want other people to come to you because it's really hard to dig for yourself, but you want to be the highest number on that tile, so you get extra resources from that. So it is a progression game. I like upgrading myself because like you're selling those cubes on a kind of the auction board or whatever. It's not an auction board exactly, but it's like a investor board, but you different cubes have different values. You're selling those so you can upgrade yourself. For example, sometimes the hazards happen when you dig, and you have to lose some cubes based on the strength of your workers you sent. And you can upgrade yourself so you can lose less cubes or not lose cubes at all. Or the movement or of your diggers, you can move farther away inwards or to the sides, and you can expand yourself so you can do better, more, bigger each time. So that's what I like, investing in things. So that's Rockwell. It's hard to explain it, but
yeah,
you just have to play it. It's that a bit that too long, maybe, or like maybe it needs to be streamlined just a bit or changed somehow. I don't know. But if somebody gets to reprint this one, I would be really happy.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember not loving it, but it was also not terrible. So.
Yeah, the concept is so cool. I just love it. But
it does have a memorable board.
Yeah, that as well. And I like sharing spaces and sharing resources and trying to get the benefit from sharing. And be better in that as well. So that's Rockwell. That's my underrated game. And for my overrated game, and I think few people will just say what, but the thing is that few games, like the games for me at least, the games that depend on the group, on the people themselves too heavily, are not good games, are not that good games as they seem to be, and that's Sheriff of Nottingham. And I feel like Sheriff of Nottingham, there's the second edition, but I played the first edition. They don't really change anything except the art is worse now. It is. If you look at the second edition, you compare it with the first edition, no. But I mean, this is a game about bluffing. You are trying to snuggle your goods through the share. What? What I said? Smuggle? What?
Smuggle. Okay, I heard snuggle. I was thinking, ooh, I'm gonna snuggle a pig.
No. I think it just misread that. Okay. So you smuggle goods, some contraband as well, and some normal goods as well. So it's like a set collection, and one of you is playing sheriff each round, and you can bribe the sheriff, and it's a negotiation game. But it totally depends on the group, and some people have said, like I said, like you can win the game by just never lying, and some people said then you play it wrong. It totally depends on like if all the players are in the into the game, they're lying and they're doing different stuff. And I said, yeah, but if there are some people who will not play that way, then the game is broken, and it breaks the game for me eventually, because then I have to find the players that play the game right. But playing the game wrong is also playing by the rules. And that's where I felt like it fell. I liked it. I liked the whole concept. So I didn't rate it too low. But then I sold it because I just couldn't play it, because playing the honest game is not fun. But it wins the game for you. And I don't know. It just depends too heavily on
I enjoy
those
the game,
games.
but I will certainly. There's a lot of. I wasn't a huge fan of its expansion. I'll say it that way. That kind of made it a bit bloated, but I enjoy the game quite a lot with the right people.
Yeah, and that's where I cannot always have the right people for the specific people for the specific
Those
games.
kind of people.
Those kind
All
of.
right.
Anyway, what's your 2 picks? Underrated and overrated.
Well, my pick as an underrated game is a game that kind of came out, and I think it had a lot of potential, but it just, listening to this company's sort of behind-the-scenes podcast, I don't know if it was making enough money or whatever, and the plug was pulled, and it never got fully developed, and that game is Crystal Clans.
Okay.
Crystal Clans by Plaid Hat. It almost felt like another version of Summoner Wars to start with, but the combat was different, and the way you used cards was different, and you were making these squads and moving around and trying to capture these crystals, and that was how you won the game. It was interesting because you had this concept of you didn't pay for the cards with anything, but you paid for them with your time. And so if you would play a big card, it would give your opponent lots more time to catch up, so the opponent could take a lot of actions before you could do so. And there were a lot of different factions developed, but then it kind of felt like the plug was pulled. Those last expansions had already been printed, so they said, okay, sell them, and then we're never going to touch it again. So it just feels like the game got killed. I like what there is, though. It's certainly an interesting game, and it's a very nice tactical combat game with, you're forming squads. The one thing, the combat was a lot of 4 + 2 -6 + 10, and it's a Tuesday, so we're adding an extra +3. And that was a little bit difficult to teach, but I enjoyed the game. So I'm kind of sad that it didn't get a little bit more fanfare than it actually ended up getting.
Yeah, I see. It looks cool, but it looks like Summer Wars. Definitely.
Yeah, but it really does not feel like Summoner Wars. I mean, if I were to describe it, not like I did, but it would sound a lot like it was, but it's not.
All right. What's your overrated game?
My overrated game is a game, now again, for me, overrated does not mean I dislike the game, and I've certainly spent a lot of money on this game, but the game is War of the Ring. War of the Ring is a highly thematic Lord of the Rings game for 2 players. And...
To 4?
No, for 2 players. And the problem with it, of course, is it is a huge investment of time to learn the rules, a huge investment of time to play the game, and so it just is one that I never get played, and because of that, I don't find it as enjoyable as it could be. The theme, okay, look, I'll come out of the closet. I am not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I found it to be, at best, an anthology of bad poetry.
Why?
But the game itself is a lot more interesting than the books. But I just find, if you look at it, it's very highly regarded. But I'm not sure that a lot of people are ever able to play it, and I'm not sure I'll ever be able to play it again, even though I have a fancy version, because it's just such a huge investment of time to learn. And for a 2-player game, there are so many much easier options that kind of satisfy the same need. That this one, unless I had somebody who was a huge fan of Lord of the Rings and somehow was able to read past all the bad poetry, I just don't know that it's the kind of game that's ever really going to come out again.
Yeah, that's the one that I think we had this one. We sold this one because we never could get this game to take, because it was the investment into learning this one was too much. We realized that, and we realized that even though we want to have this epic adventure kind of a thing, we just couldn't get through it. And I can see it's not, you don't have to be a fan of Lord of the Rings as well, because I'm not a fan of Star Wars, so I don't care about Star Wars at all. So
well, that doesn't affect your enjoyment of this game, but
I mean, like, it's big franchises. We don't need to.
If you were a fan of the game, if I had somebody here who thought that was the greatest series of movies and books ever, I would get this game out and play it, because that kind of person might be interested enough to invest the time to learn it. But unless you have that, it's just too much. Yeah,
I see. All right, so here we have Under Nowhere, and we're gonna go to the next topic, which is called funky components. We're gonna talk about some weird, wacky again, funky, huge, beautiful, maybe ugly, but certainly not so common components. So no cubes, no discs. So you want to start?
I will start. Mine, I don't know that it's a weird component this time, but it's just a very, it's the whole game itself has this really interesting feel to it because of its components. And the game is War Chest. And War Chest, what you have is a bunch of chips. They're these nice poker chip type pieces, and they come in a large chest. And
is it the one?
Really the game. No, War. Oh, no, it has a space between War and Chest.
Oh, you talked about this one before. Yeah.
But I didn't talk about it in this segment.
You're sneaky. Okay.
So I mean, it's a very nice abstract game. If we were making a list of the top 10 abstract games, it would definitely be on there. But each person has 4 different types of chips, and each chip you're going to use it for different functions. You can use it to buy more cards, you can use it to put it out on the board, or you can use it to activate the various units you have out on the board. And so you're drawing, you draw some chips out of a bag, you use them, and that's how it goes back and forth until you control a certain number of points. But the components of the game give it a very nice classic feel, and really just sort of elevate it above your standard, abstract game. It looks a lot better, feels a lot better than most abstract games. So, there you go.
All right. It will never beat Santorini.
Well, I didn't say it would be my number 1 abstract game, but it would definitely be on the list. Maybe we should do that list sometime.
We'll see. Anyway, my pick for funky components is the pirate ship I was talking about before in a game called A Tale of Pirates.
Oh, so sneaky.
It is. And if you look at this is the one.
Oh my.
This is the ship.
Oh, look at those sand timers. See, if the game had a better title, I would have looked at it.
So no, it seems to be a weird. This is the right ship here. The other one was maybe like a prototype. I don't know, maybe there are different versions, but so this game is a cooperative campaign game, real-time Sentimers. It's like the Kitchen Rush. So basically your Sentimers are workers, and these are different worker spots, like you're loading cannons or you're picking through the watchtower to see if there are some ships approaching, whatever, and you need to put the Sentimer down and into that hole, and then if the time runs out, you can take it and plug it into another spot, So this is how it is, and you're trying to manage all those different threats and things. The ship can rotate as well, so it's a 3D ship with the holes inside, and there are those the hearts, as you can see on the side. Maybe this is weird.
Oh my.
Yeah. There are those hearts on the sides. You cannot see them really, but they are the health point things, so you can track them by plugging them into there as well. So it is a wacky, weird component with the app assistance. And somebody put the wine cork here, so
well,
at least it looks cool.
The sand's never going to run down on that one. Does the ship fit back in the box?
It does. I mean, like, I think you have to just take off the upper part.
Okay.
Because you need to get the mast off, and I think everything else fits. I don't remember. I don't have this game anymore because the problem is that you have to play through this campaign and through the different missions, and if you are playing with the same group of people, then it's totally fine. And we played it with in the board game camp, well, with a certain group of people, and then I have to, if I want to play with the new group of people, it would be weird to start from the kind of the middle of the campaign, because you're learning the game, you're learning how to react in the game through those different scenarios. It's like the crew, you wouldn't start from the 10th mission right away, you want to get into it first. So
you might.
Yeah, I mean, in here you can, but then I have to explain less, and we can get faster into the game if I start from the beginning. So it's a cool game, but I think it suffered from too much of that obscurity or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you need to try this game. It's really cool.
Yeah, I might. If Victor or somebody comes to stay for a while, I might. How is it 2-player? Does it work?
To be honest, I never played it 2-player, but I'm sure it can work. Maybe it's. Let me see if it is. No, it says best with 2 or 4. I mean, like, it's a cooperative game, so I'm sure it's gonna play good with 2. I think it scales somehow. We played it as a 4-player game, so I don't know exactly, but the missions can be really fast, so you can go. Let's go to the next mission. It's cool. It's cool. You get new cards as well, so you kind of you open up new stuff as well as you go further. That's the ship. All right, so we are done with the funky component. Now we're gonna go to our.
Possessed?
What did you say? Not possessed? No. All right, so we're gonna go to our topic of the day, which is the top 10 unique fantasy games. And with that one, this is a continuation to the previous list, top 10 unique games. And by the way, while you were talking about one of the games, I I found replacement for my game that I wanted to include in this list.
Okay.
But my whole, like, my order of those games is it's not so important. They're like the first 3-4, like the first half of these games are the games that I really like or have like, but it's not so important of the order of that. It's more like is the theme of this. Yeah, is the theme of this game like a unique fantasy, or it just feels like unique fantasy? I mean, I try to find the games that are unique worlds, as per se. So I hope you did the same. So, fantasy is like usual magic, orcs, goblins, wizards, archers, things, elves. So this is usual Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy. themes, and we're trying to get away from them and show you what else is there on the market.
Oh, is that what we're doing? That was not the brief that I got.
I told you it's more like having unique world or theme. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
we'll
And
see.
I did try relatively hard to avoid games that show up on every single list. I know I have a tendency to talk about the same games, and a few of those games that
We all.
that would. What?
We all do talk about the same games all the time.
Well, and a few of those games that that show up on every list would fit very well in a top 10 fantasy games list. So,
Hmm.
so
I see. Yeah.
So, for example, I left off Summoner Wars. I left off Spirit Island.
Also, we try to not put on the games that were on the unique games list. So, like,
Yeah, I'm hoping I did that. I didn't go back and check my list.
yeah. So,
Mostly because I threw it away.
how many crossovers do you think we'll have?
2.
Let me see. Maybe one.
Yeah, well, I guess there's only one way to find out.
Then let's start. All right, Kyle, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a game I have talked about a few times, so it's one you might have been able to guess would be on my list. It is a game called Hexplorit.
Mm-hmm.
Hexplorit is a, well, now it's a series of games, and it's basically one of your type of a role-playing game that you can play by yourself or without, a dungeon master or whatever we call that person who runs the game. In Hexplorit, you're going to take one of a variety of weird characters, different classes, and go through an adventure. There are currently 2, although the third one should be shipping very soon. The first one is sort of your standard, you're fighting an undead necromancer in a fantasy valley. The second one, you're fighting a fairy queen, and the third one, you're in a desert fighting sandworms. But it's a very interesting fantasy setting. It's a very immersive game where you're going to develop your character, have it be whatever you want because you've got a marker and you can add all of the different stats, focus on what you want to do. And if you're going to get into it and have this great role-playing adventure, it's a great game. So any of the 2 that are out are good. I think I prefer the second one a little bit over the first one, but it's just a preference based on some of the different mechanisms in it. But it's a unique game. It's not like anything else. There you are, Hexplorit.
All right. So my number 10 is a game, you might argue it is a unique fantasy game per se, but for me, the way it introduces this magical world and the things you do there, it feels unique. And I'm talking about Alchemists.
Okay.
It is a fantasy theme, and what's weird, what's different, what's unique about this one is what you do in this game. Yeah, you're looking at brewing potions, which is usual stuff, but you are registering them, and then you're bringing on the theories that other players can debunk. It feels different. There's no such game that uses kind of a theme in that way, that you need to get the exact formulas for that potion or whatever. It uses the app as well, but these are more like unique mechanics. But
Sure.
Alchemists as a theme as well feels different from the usual brew a potion, and score points. It's all about the formulas. It's all about the chemistry.
Yeah.
So
I like alchemists. I'll start there. I hate teaching alchemists.
Stop there. No, I'm kidding.
But it is a good game. I like Alchemist. I enjoy it a lot. I do wish, sometimes the game gets in the way of the deduction, which is the more interesting part of the game. Because there's sort of two pieces. There's the deduction element and this kind of a side worker placement element, and
True.
the two don't necessarily complement each other. And so I do wish. I mean, there were times when I thought, well, this would be a lot more fun if all we were doing was doing the potion deduction.
Yes.
Anyway,
It's heavy on that side, but do you agree that it's kind of unique?
it
Fantasy
was
game?
on my short list. It was on my short
Let's
list.
see. That's good. All right. Then let's go to number 9. So, Kyle, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a game that doesn't make it on a lot of lists. The game is called Tsukayumi Full Moon Down.
Oh my god.
And
I see. Yeah, I got it.
okay, all right. So this is it's an interesting game. It's this kind of a fantasy world where you've got space whales and I forget the name of the boar faction. It was the war boars or something. And it's there's combat, unique special abilities. This is the older version. There's a new one that was kickstarted a long time ago that's eventually someday finally going to come out. But it's a very interesting fantasy world where you're sort of mining this fallen moon, and you've got all these special abilities, and the problem with it is the base game. All those standees, none of them fit into their bases. And so it required a whole lot of work to get the game into even a playable condition, which is why I don't talk about it that much. But I think the new version, which is going to have minis instead of those standees, is going to be a lot better, and it will start to get a little bit more buzz than it did, because it's a fantastic game, and it's a very interesting world with characters that are unlike anything from any other game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it seems to be more like a sci-fi to me, but is it fantasy? Yeah, okay.
there are flying whales.
Yeah, it might be. It says fantasy and science fiction. So,
well, fantasy and science fiction are two sides of the same coin. Kind
of, yeah. But
you're not
there
in
are
space;
difference.
you're on the planet. So,
Okay, all right.
look, did you see that dragon in that picture?
No, let's just skip that. Okay. All right. So my number 9 is a game that's totally a fantasy game. It has a cool theme, a different theme, and I don't know if there's any other game with that theme. I'm talking about Dungeon Pets.
Okay.
And by the way, Dungeon Pets is the one that I skipped, and the Magic Maze was the one that I wanted to put on the list. But the Magic Maze was on the previous list. But the Magic Maze is also a unique fantasy game.
It is a unique fantasy game.
Yeah.
It's also a unique game.
Yeah. So, anyway, in Dungeon Pets, you are. These are like, let's say it's the. Like a Harry Potter's Fantastical Beasts, whatever they are, and the movie and the Fantastical Beasts. So this one also has Fantastical Beasts that you get, and they grow, and you put them into different cages, like a farm. You have like a farm of those Fantastical Beasts, and you have to feed them. You have to make them happy, and they make poopy, and you have to clean that, and sometimes you need to get special magical cages so you can so they will not escape, and etc. But then eventually they will find their owners, some weird owners who buy fantastical pets. So, and you have those minions that do all the dirty work for you, go to the market, etc. And sometimes some pets are lost, and eventually. Yeah, and eventually
They get sad too.
they get, yeah, and eventually the meat arrives at the markets, and the pets are gone. And I don't know where's the connection between those two things. So it might be some, but anyway.
That's a good game. This is one that I need to play again.
Yeah, worker placement game with kind of an area majority type thing, where you send more imps on the same side. You know, you have to share the imps between those different actions and things. So I like that. It's a unique theme, a lot of fun, and it's funny as well.
Yeah.
In a theme itself.
There you go.
My number 9, Dungeon Pets. So let's go to number 8. All right, Kyle, what's your number 8?
All right, my number 8 is one that we do talk about a bit, but it is a unique fantasy game. It's not one of my go-to standard unique fantasy games. This game is Role Player. And in Role Player, you're creating your own fantastical character for a dungeon adventure that's not going to happen. It's basically how it goes. The theme is interesting, but not that heavily on it. Although with its expansions, you're also going to use your character to fight some monsters and go up against a dragon or an ogre or something. It's an interesting version of a dice placement game. You're trying to get different combinations and use the unique special abilities to improve or change your stats in various rows, all while in a fantastical world creating a character.
Yeah, that's a good game. I like that. Though, the theme itself, all the things there are in this game, it's your generic fantasy. No, so that's why I skipped that. I'm not sure if I would call it unique fantasy game, but I mean
it's a fantasy game that's unique.
Yeah. If you do it that approach, but on the other hand, yeah, it doesn't really feel that one. But yeah, let's go with the feel. All right, my number 8 is a game that is maybe in the same kind of vein of having usual fantastic stuff, but it feels totally unique because the way you do things in this game, and that's World Wars. So, because this is Storage Wars in a fantasy world, and though all the things in this game are your usual dwarven, lockbox here, necromancer script, and then helmets and whatever else, The theme itself, like you are going and looting those different, what they're called?
Storage lockers?
Yeah, kind of a storage lockers, but like different chests, let's say. Vaults and chests and things. This feels unique. Like your fantasy characters are just, auctioning on who gets this chest, So that sounds weird, and this gameplay is really cool. You can bluff in this game, and you are auctioning, and you're getting cool things, or you're getting junk, and there's some partial information thing going on, which I do like in various games. So that's World Wars, my number 8.
I think this one's about as unique as Role Player. I think it fits into the same vein of uniqueness.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's what I said. It might be the characters themselves are not. It's common, but I feel like this one is a little bit more unique in a way that they interact in this world.
You're saying it's a fantasy game that's unique.
It's a fantasy. It's a unique fantasy theme, I would say.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to number 7. All right.
Right. So my number 7 is a game I don't think I've ever talked about, and it's because I just recently got it out again. It's a very abstract game, but it's really interesting, and it has a million expansions. I know you're laughing because you think I'm going to name something that I always talk about. Now, this game is called Dungeon Twister.
Yeah.
Dungeon Twister is... So, the version I have is called Prison, but there's a million versions. And you've got 4 characters, and they're going through this dungeon, and really what you're doing is rotating the different rooms of the dungeon to make yourselves paths through. And what you're trying to do is get from one side to the other. And the way you move characters and the way you activate characters is through cards, and they all have different abilities, and it's a weird fantasy world, and you're going through a maze, and it's not really like anything else that's out there. Yet it is still kind of an abstract game, so it's just very interesting and unlike anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Christopher Bunch's game.
Yeah, and he made a card version which is even weirder. So
He makes some unique games, definitely. I mean, almost every his game feels unique, even if it has well-known mechanisms or themes. Every of his games feel totally unique. Mm-hmm. So he's a unique designer. I like that. All right, my number 7 is a game that is also rather abstracted, but it does have a fantastical theme, and I'm talking about Obscurio. And in Obscurio, it's a magical world. You're like in this magical library, and the library is talking through those different dreams, whatever they are, and one of you is a traitor trying to lock you up in this magical library so you never find the exit, and you're trying to find the exit. And this is this kind of a maze of the library with the like the Harry Potter style, the what they call the stairways, they're sliding and so on, so it's like a huge space. So it is a fantasy world, it is a fantastical library, and it's like a deduction game, let's say. And trying to see what are the right cards through those different wacky, dreamy hints.
I do love the red lens. So
yeah, but this is also real time. I like this game. It's
definitely a fantasy game
and unique theme, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I can think of another couple of games that are very similar in that theme, but
that you're in a fantastical library trying to get out.
No, but I'll say the game feels like a couple of other games.
Like Mysterium and Dixit, yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it less unique, in my opinion. So that's Obscurio, my number 7. Let's go to number 6. All right, that's your number 6.
My number 6. All right, so this is a game that I was worried I had put on my other list, but I don't think I did, even though it is definitely a unique game. And this is the one you probably would have been able to predict would be on my list, and that is Dungeon Fighter.
Let's see.
Dungeon Fighter is your standard dungeon crawl done very differently. It's very much a dexterity type game. You've got this board on the table that is basically a target, and you're bouncing dice off the table to land on the board in various positions, and doing so using different methods. I do talk about this game a bit, so we don't need to talk about it in great detail, but it is a fantasy game that is unlike anything else, and it definitely does not feel like anything. The humor's a little weird. The artwork is definitely stylized. The expansions make it even crazier. My favorite, I've always said, is the Earth one, where you have powers that let you shake the board after the die has landed so you can get it into a better position, and then it inevitably falls into a hole. It's a fantastically fun game in a fantasy world.
Yeah. I thought about this one, and I felt conflicted because it feels It totally feels like for me, it is a generic fantasy themed game. But on the other hand, it's a twisted parody on that generic fantasy theme, because the characters that you have here are weird and unique. So that's where I feel like the theme is also kind of unique for the fantasy theme, but it feels generic on the other side. Yeah.
And the gameplay is unlike anything else even in your most generic fantasy dungeon.
Yeah, that's what I told at the beginning. I'm shooting more not towards the mechanics, because this is for unique games as a whole, as a list.
I'm talking about the whole feel of the game. And
the whole feel, yeah. And I was shooting for more like a theme, and that's why maybe I skipped this one. I don't know. It's conflicted for me, but I think it fits the list. All right, so my number 6 is a game that you can... you might argue that it fits this list, but I think it does, because it is a extremely well-known world, but it is extremely well-known because it is a unique world. And I'm talking about Harry Potter, the Hogwarts Battle. It is a Harry Potter themed game. It's a deck building game. It's a usual deck building game, but it has the Harry Potter theme, and the Harry Potter is a totally unique, fantastical world. So, yeah, you play out cards, you buy more cards, trying to defeat the villains. You have some attack cards, and you're basically building up your deck. And it's a cooperative game. You're trying to work together to do that. So I don't know what you're going to say about that one, but...
What I'm going to say is I think we had 2 very different interpretations of this list.
Yeah, but as I told you before, like, theme
okay.
and the world. That was my approach from the beginning. So that's that. Anyway, let's go to number 5.
All right, my number 5 is... So, I told you I tried to put games on the list that I don't talk about all the time, and I did fail here. Because this game is just unique, and it's fantasy. And that's my interpretation of the list, and the feel of this game is unique.
That's fine.
And that game is Catacombs.
The
artwork is certainly interesting. I'm talking about the newer version, of course.
Yeah, it's the similar vein to Dungeon Fighter,
which is why they're back to back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dungeon crawling game with you're a team of heroes, one of which can be a chicken, and you're fighting a team of monsters played by one person, and the way you do it is by flicking discs around a board. It really isn't anything. There's nothing else quite like it. It is a game that if you play it a lot, you're going to do better no matter which side you do. There's just some inherent skill to this. But the artwork, the artwork of the new version is fantastic. It's one of the few games where it's like they said, okay, we're going to do this completely differently. We're going to take the same core box and put completely new face on it. And I don't think anybody's aching for the old version.
Yeah.
Even though I saved my old version, the new one has definitely replaced it. It's a fantasy game. It feels unlike anything else. You can see there's the gelatinous cube there on the board, which is a large cube that you'll flick around, and depending on what side it's on, it's going to do different things. It's a great game. There you go, Catacombs.
Yeah, it is totally unique game per se. Like unique mechanics, unique approach, and it is a fantasy. For me, it is more like towards the generic fantasy theme. That's why I didn't put it on my list. Mm-hmm. I'm searching for the worlds that are unique. But on the other hand, some of the characters, and because it has also that kind of a parody towards the generic fantasy theme, some of the characters feel unique from the usual generic fantasy. So
many of them do.
Yeah, so I think it fits. It fits the list.
Well,
just not for me.
It's my version of the list, which was unique fantasy games. So,
Yeah, and sorry, that was your number 5. I
It
forgot
was my
to
number 5.
I forgot to put this.
Do you want me to talk about it again now?
No. All right. My number 5 is a game I talk about a lot, and yeah, I also so we match there. But I think this is a theme of like fairy tales, but fairy tales are magical worlds, and I'm talking about the Grim Masquerade. And the Green Masquerade is a unique world per se for me because it's the grim. It's also like like with Harry Potter. It's unique approach. It's the Grimm's fairy tales, and
Which
in
are
this
totally unique and have not been seen anywhere else.
They are well known, and everybody else is just copying things, this is the one. This is the Harry Potter fairy tales, and this one feels unique because though it's abstracted, they are having a ball. All those different fairy tale characters, and the wolf, and the evil queen, and the Sleeping Beauty. They're all in the same place, and they are dancing around and trying to see who is who. So it is a unique theme per se.
Okay.
And that's where I feel like the game itself is really cool. You're trying to reveal what the other players are, so you can win the round, get more roses. It's a deduction game per se.
I enjoy the game. I'm not convinced that it's particularly a unique world, but
Unique theme, yeah, I would say. Anyway,
okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not going to get any more crap from you for the rest of the list, I think.
Me too. I'm sure.
Okay.
Well, but we'll see. We'll see.
So, my number 4 is a game that I was almost going to talk about in my recent plays, but I figured since it was going to be on the list, I'd talk about it here. The game is Etherfields. Etherfields is a game about dreams. And you are exploring a dream world, and you're going around a map, and then you'll have sort of dream and mostly nightmare encounters. And then you'll enter a dream, and the dream it almost feels like an unlocked game, right? You've got you enter this dream, and it's the scenario. Like there's one dream, you're in a factory, you're making stuff. And there's a union boss that's trying to get all the workers to go and be lazy. Then there's another dream where you're in the basement and something's chasing you, and it's a huge guy with an axe. Then you go into another dream, and you're traveling around fighting rats and suffering from a plague. It's just a whole bunch of different adventures, and they're all with weird, dreamy artwork, and you're a particular type of character who's having this dream. I played it through as the Reaper. I finished the first campaign. There are 2 in the base box, and there's a bunch more coming in a year from the Kickstarter. But the artwork is dreamy and fantastical. The characters are weird and don't make a lot of sense. And it really, the only thing it feels like, it feels like a little bit like Seventh Continent, maybe? But with a little bit more streamlining in terms of, okay, I'm playing this episode. There's a book of secret stuff you'll look up. There's also it's a very interesting way of doing hidden things, is you get this set of like little triangles that have a piece of artwork, and if ever you see that piece of artwork somewhere, you can flip it over and read some piece of the story. It's a very interesting way to do it. It's totally a fantasy world. It's not your typical fantasy world with elves and fairies. Instead, it's a fantasy world with all of your worst nightmares chasing you. But but it is unlike anything else, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. Yeah, but I've never played it, so kind of comment on that.
I have. I played it intensely for the last week.
Good. All right, so my number 4 is the game that I'm sure you're gonna agree on. That it has a unique fantasy theme, and talk about Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. And it is a different world. It is its own unique, created world. It has the whole the Kickstarter version came with a book, so you can read the lore. You can read the lore of this, but this one, these are like, it's not sea creatures, but they're kind of like sea creatures. They are all, I don't know what creatures they are exactly, what factions they are exactly, but in this one you are, you have the kind of Olympic Games, sort of, and you're trying to become the next guardian of the reef or whatever, and guard against the fantastical monsters, like kind of like Leviathan type monsters. So, and it's a worker placement game. You're getting resources, and then you are doing the challenges while the judge is watching, and you're doing those challenges by rolling the dice, and you can upgrade the dice to become even better, so you have less, you're less luck dependent. You can fight the monsters as well at the reef, and yeah, you're trying to just upgrade your character. It's more like it's like a role player as well. It's, I think, it's like you are building up your character. Here you are also building it up, upgrading it, so you can roll more dice, so you can do better stuff with the tricks, so you can refresh more dice. And you also have everybody has its own unique card deck, unique abilities that you can get, and as you progress the synergy, I think the synergy skill, you progress those skills, you get more cards, you get more abilities, so you can do even better. So this game cries for more expansions. I don't have there is one expansion, but people say, I haven't played the one, I don't have it, but people say that this expansion kind of makes the La Mare Stadium less attractive and more like obsolete if you have this expansion included. I want to have an expansion that doesn't take away the importance of other spots and just add more. So we'll see.
Yeah. With that expansion, you can. There's really two pieces. One piece is just another character, and you can throw that character in, and
which is cool,
and not change anything. It's just a fifth player color. It's orange if you want orange. The corruption piece I haven't tried yet, so I can't really speak to it.
I see.
Which is the other piece of the expansion.
So maybe the corruption makes it really cool, but there's the another board, the islands, that you can go to.
That's where the corruption stuff is. So
I see. All right, but this game has some legendary cards, whatever they are, the like more complex game in it as well. So you can just add some modules things in it.
The one thing I'll say that I have it fits on the list for sure. I have two complaints about it. One is it's not great as a two-player game, and two,
I can see that. Yeah.
It would definitely be on the list of the top 10 table hogs.
Oh yes. This takes a ton of space, especially if you here the dice are on the table, but if you use the game trays with the dice being in that game tray, which is nice because you don't have to sort them out every time. It takes a lot of space. Definitely a table hog. But I mean, I've played it 4 players, and I think I played it 4 players all the times.
Okay. Yeah, the 2-player has some special weird rules, and I hated those and then didn't use them and played it the second time with just 2 people.
Oh, I read it, yeah.
I don't know. I wish that it worked a little bit better with 2, but hey.
It has kind of a dummy player, so I didn't want to play the 2-player. I don't like dummy players usually. All right, so Tile Blades, my number 4. So let's go to a number 3. Kyle, am I getting weirder every time?
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to allow you to say that kind of thing about yourself.
You're so good. All right.
So, you want my number 3? My number 3 is a game that initially, it fits. I'm going to say it fits. And it's unique, and it's fun, and it's hilarious. And
it's No.
The game is Forgotten Waters.
Okay.
This is a pirate-themed game. with magic, and you are the crew on a pirate ship, and you're sailing around and having an adventure. There are, I think, 5 adventures in the box. You use an app that's not really an app; it's more of a website, and you're going through this large storybook, and it's various sort of fantasy worlds, and there's different actions you can do. There's a real-time element. There is lots of story that's going on, and the story changes each time you play through it. So if you play through scenario 2, the second time you might visit different spaces, have different things happen. There are parts of the game I've just never found, and I can see that they're there because I flipped through the book and looked at the pictures. But it's unlike anything else. It is definitely a fantasy world, and it's a lot of fun to play. So it's unique and fantastical. Forgotten Waters.
Yeah. I haven't played this one. When I looked at this one, I would say I would put it under the pirate games list, definitely. But
well, because it has pirates, but they're magical pirates, and if you
magical
look at all
pirates,
that
okay.
artwork, you will definitely see lots of monsters and beasts
I
and
see.
weird, fantastical things.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely. Then it sounds even cooler. I really want to get this game and try this out. So
we can play it. There's a way to play it online, distant.
I know, but I'm just so. Each time I try to play online, I feel like I'm missing.
It's not online. It's playing it like over a webcam, and there are rules to play it at distance.
Oh, I see. Nice. Okay.
It's not like an online module. I don't know how to use those.
But for that, you need copies. Each of you need a copy.
Only one person needs it.
But I like having pieces in my hands.
Well,
that's
buy one.
The tactile feel. That's the
I'm
way.
just saying, if you wanted to play this game, there are rules to allow us to do so while you're in Estonia and I'm not.
I see. No, we can try. Definitely. Sure. All right. Let's go to my number 3. My number 3, I'm sure you're gonna say yes to that one. I mean, it is unique in a theme, though it borrows from the generic fantasy. But I'm talking about, and this game is so high on my list. It's more of a nostalgia, but the fun it gave me isn't compared to anything else. It's just so cool and unique, and that's Mice and Mystics.
Yeah, I almost put it on mine. So.
You have your usual dungeon crawl, and you have a prince and the healer and the big guy, with the hammer, but at first you feel like, it's a generic usual fantasy game, but it's really not, because you are mice who are fighting rats and cockroaches and going through the sewers. And the mechanics themselves, they help you with that, because you can use a spoon to throw yourself on the table and etc. You can interact with the world, and you collect cheese and things. So the whole world is made for the mice, and it's a fantastical world. On the other hand, if it would be redone into, your usual elf, warrior, rogue type, because they are kind of like that, the characters. If you rename them and change the concept from the sewers to the fantastical world land, it is based on generic, but it's made into something unique, and that's a cooperative dungeon crawl. For families, I would say, though it has a lot of rules, and it needs to be, it needs a new edition, but it's Mice and Mystics.
It could use a bit of streamlining, and the rule book could have used a little improvement, but the game itself, I considered it for the list, so I don't have any problem with you including it.
Yeah, it's not about, the gameplay is rather simple, how you do stuff. You need to, I think
it's more story than game.
Story, yes. That's stories that it creates. It just, oh my god, that's great. Anyway, Mice and Mystics, my number 3. Let's go to number 2. All right, what's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is a game so the world is a world that I would consider unique, even though it appears in several games.
Yeah,
But they're
yeah.
all games by the same designer. The game is called Near and Far, and it is a unique fantasy world with lots of talking lizards and frogs. And this is the best of the games in that world, in my opinion. But you're going through, you're having an adventure, you're collecting ostriches to ride and turtles to ride. It's sort of a Euro-y style game because you're trying to build up your own little engine, get these cards played, and place out all your tents for whatever reason. But you're also having an adventure. You can play it through in a sort of a campaign type story, or you can just open to a map and play it. It's certainly an interesting theme. It has an expansion that I've been told is great, but I've not played with yet. It's a
Oh, you
unique
haven't?
fantasy world. So there you go. Near and Far.
Yeah, I can totally see that because it's also my number 2.
I figured we would cross over on this one.
Yeah, I totally agree because this is Ryan Lockett's world. This is his creative world. It is unique in every way, and definitely a great. The worker placement itself isn't too complicated. It's not too unique of itself, but with this adventure book, the mixture of those different mechanics makes it cool, and some story elements going on there, and the expansion, the Amber Mines, as you said, you should definitely try it because for me, but by the way, Amber Mines added those spells or whatever they are, makes it even more fantastical, But but Amber Mines added a better way, like one of the worker spots is the mines. As you know, in the base game, you just expand. You put the camps there. That's it. It's so boring. It's so extremely boring. So basically,
Way to get a resource.
yeah. But the Amber Mines changes those two worker spots. One was, I don't remember what it is, but basically the spells is the new one. Except instead of that, and instead of the usual mines, there are now Amber Mines, which are the locations that you can visit, and you can go through the dungeon physically, exploring new cards, and it's like a push your luck, and you get resources from there, and you can also build camps there and etc. And so it makes those two worker spots even better, and it makes the game overly much better for me. So without the expansion, it's a fine game. With the expansion, it's an amazing game in my opinion.
Okay.
It fixes the stuff for me, so totally agree. Near and Far, a great game. Both our
Yeah, I
both
don't
of our
disagree with
lists
you.
were 2.
Uh,
Then let's go to the final number 1. All right, Kyle. What's your number 1? And I hope it's
okay.
not the same as me.
No, it's not going to be the same as you because I don't think you played this game. My game is a fantastical world, and it's a fantasy game, and it is a game that's a bit of programming, a bit of, I don't know what you'd call it, but you're building a bit of tower defense. The game is called Cloudspire.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, you're in this fantasy world. I'm sure it has a name, Arnak or something like that. It's made out of some large neoprene mats. And the game is best as a 2-player game. I'll just say that off the bat. But what you're doing is you're sending out your minions, and they're going to march sort of at their own pace according to the rules across the board and attack the opponent's fortress. You also have heroes that you have more control over. And you're building these towers that are going to shoot down the characters before they get to your base. And there are 4 factions, 5 factions? 5 in the base game if you get the expansion that came out at the exact same time. And and they're all very different. There's one that's bugs, one that's birds, one that's, I guess, what you would call dwarves, one that's tree people, and one that's random mystical creatures, I don't know, kind of like psychic-y blue people. Uh, it's a very accurate description. It's really not like anything else. The characters are different. The world is different. The gameplay is certainly different. There's also a book of stories you can play through, both cooperatively, and a separate book of stories you can play through solo. So there's something for everyone in this box. It's a huge box. It's a complicated game. It's very expensive, but it's totally worth it, in my opinion. That's my number one unique fantasy game, Cloud Spire.
All right. Yeah, I haven't played that one, so. So my number one, I'm sure you're gonna guess that one. Do you know what it is?
Well,
just think about unique world.
Abyss.
That was my approach. It is. It is. There's no other game like Abyss. No other world like Abyss. It's the same
Except
as with
arguably Tidal Blades.
Yes, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to say. It's very similar to Tidal Blades, but this is the underwater world with more like a fishy stuff going on. A fishy? Oh, something's fishy. But Abyss has those fantastical creatures, these different lords and allies, which are your usual, seahorses and the whatever, the fish and crabs and etc. But the gameplay of collecting the cards and then exchanging them into new cards and auctioning off the allies as they are basically the strength, and then buying the lords, and then with the lords you can get the locations that give you even more points, etc. By the way, this is a weird edition. It seems to be showing a weird edition.
Same edition?
No, it had weird icons, so it shouldn't be the usual edition. Yeah. So, but anyway, in this game, I have all the expansions, because without the expansions, it's okay for now. Like at first when I played it, it was like really cool because the art and the theme and the world gives a lot. But the monster track, it's just crap. With the new expansion Leviathan, it makes hunting the monsters a viable strategy. You cannot do it. I don't know if you can win just hunting the monsters because it's a little bit luck based, but you can get a lot of points. You can be lucky, but you can get a lot of stuff from there, definitely. And
someday I'll play it.
Yeah, and the Black Pearls expansion, well, not the Black Pearls, whatever they're called, the I don't know.
The one that has the black pearls.
Yeah, the one that has the corruption pearls, basically. Also adds to that. Also adds to the different lords and cards, and it's just such a great game. I have everything for this game. I have the wooden insert. I have the playmat. I bought the new playmat that has all the expansions in it. So it's huge. It's a table hog with the playmat itself. But oh my god, it's so good. I love this game.
I've played with the first two expansions. I just haven't played with that third one. But I enjoy the game a lot. I certainly feel it feels like very little else. The one complaint I have about the game is once you've mixed that second expansion in, it's pretty impossible to take out.
But you shouldn't, because otherwise it's not a good game.
Well,
at least for me.
But for teaching new players, it's certainly better not to have that Black Pearl rule is one of the most difficult rules for new players to learn. If we were making our list of rules for new players to learn, that Black Pearl rule is not very intuitive at all and frequently gets forgotten and makes people angry. So I do wish that it were possible to pull that stuff out a little bit more easily.
No, but it has the icons. Every new expansion has the icon of that expansion.
Now it does. But if you got that expansion when it came out, it did not.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I got it when it came out. I think it has. Maybe some misprint.
Mine does not.
Then it's weird.
The cards are other. I mean, you can sometimes. The ones that are obviously the Black Pearl cards with the 3 black pearls, you can take those out. But the rest, it's very difficult to pull out.
Oh, because I think I had the I got it in Essen during when it was released, I think. So it should be the same. But with this one, I taught it to, like, during our last cruise, I played it like 2 or 3 times. I taught it to new people there, and they were enamored with the game. I mean, like, maybe not enamored, but they all liked the game. And I taught them the game with all the expansions. And I had to remind them few things during the game, but once they get through that, then it's totally fine. And I'm sure they're gonna play it more.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the Black Pearls. I just don't like teaching them because people have a real problem with it. It's like
it is.
that. We should make our list of the top 10 hard rules for new players to learn.
Wacky rules. It is. It is one of those. Like, why cannot they spend the Black Pearl right away? No, and why should they spend only one? Yeah. So, so this was our top 10. We had different approaches, but that means we had totally different lists, except one crossover, by the way, was it?
Yeah.
Near and far, and on the same spot, by the way, which is really cool. But definitely, there are unique approaches to generic fantasy themes. There are just unique fantasy worlds, and there are unique mechanics with generic characters from fantasy themes, fantasy world, etc. So there are so many different fantasy games that can be unique in different ways. But that's it for today.
All right.
And thank you for watching, and we'll see you another time, another episode of Würfelcast. So let me do this and this, and then we're gonna say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.